Ladies, gentlemen, those in between, how do you do? Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Hour. Sorry for the inactivity lately. I just haven't had much to make videos about. Not a ton of news. I haven't been watching the Olympics super closely. I have caught a game or two here or there, but it's not something that I have been super, attentive to. I've had other things going on. So, sorry for that, but also, it just kind of is what it is. But, we do have a little bit of news to talk about tonight, or today, whatever time you're watching this video. Lauri Markkanen has signed a 5-year, $238 million extension with the Utah Jazz. For those who don't know, I doubt you watch me and don't know where Lauri Markkanen plays, but just in case. So, after courting offers for him for a long time, they were like, you know what? No one's giving us what we wanted. The Warriors were in for him. They asked for Brand Podziemski and a bunch of picks, or Kuminga and a bunch of picks, or both and a bunch of picks. There were reports about all those packages being wanted by the Jazz, but the Warriors were not willing to offer Brand Podziemski because they see him as the guard of the future for them, which, depending on how you feel about Pods, that can make you feel a couple of ways. You can be like, yay, they kept the young guy. That's really good. Or you could be like, well, now they're kind of wasting the last few years of Steph's career. And I get that you want to capitalize on the war, on Steph's last few years, right? But realistically, you're not going to compete. You're not going to contend. I don't think they're on the level of the Mavs, on the level of the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves. I don't think they're on the tier below that either. I think they're a 4th-tier team in the West, maybe a 3rd tier. And, I have a hard time seeing them even being better than the Pelicans, And I don't want to trade all these picks and all my young guys for... Lauri Markkanen is worth that, he's worth trading a bunch of assets for. But you have to take into account the context of the team and all of that stuff when you're looking at these trades, and the Warriors shouldn't be trading all that. They might end up trading Steph in a couple of years because he's going to ask out. And, well, I doubt Warriors fans want that to happen. I think if I'd rather do that than be a middling team for the next 5 years and not have anything to show for it. You trade all your draft picks, all your pieces, and you're left with not a contender. That's only a move I make when I'm this is going to make us a bona fide contender. The Knicks, they got their guy. I think that was an overpay for Mikal Bridges, but they got their guy, and they are someone who should be contending for the next few years. But at the same time, the Jazz it kind of makes me wonder what they're thinking with all this, because I don't know what they're thinking. You give Lauri a max, right? And Lauri is good enough for a max for sure. I think he's making about $47.5 million on average over that time period. Sorry, I just hit the mic. He's been making that on average, and that's about the going rate for someone of his caliber. He is someone that is very good. He's probably the best. If you don't consider Cat a 7-footer, he's for sure the best 7-foot shooter in the league. And yeah, that's sort of where his value comes in, because he could do basically any role you ask him to. He's very portable, very scalable. If you need him to sit in the corner, he can sit in the corner. If you need him to create his own shot, he can create his own shot. He's very versatile with what he can do offensively. He's a good enough defender to play in the playoffs, like he's not a disaster defensively. And that has a lot of value, right? Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's MPJ," but like MPJ with a good handle or a decent handle for his size and a good basketball IQ is an elite role player, and Lauri is better than that. So I think Lauri gets severely underrated in a lot of areas, and I think that I think he's good. I think he's damn good. I think he's worth the contract. I don't really get it from the Jazz perspective. I guess you lock him up so you can trade him still in the future, but the reason I'm saying I don't get it is because this year, since he signed it on August, I believe it was 6th, that he signed it yesterday when I'm recording this, he can't be traded during the 2024-25 season. So he is stuck he is there in Utah this season. They're both with each other, and there's nothing that can change that. It's all signed, yada yada. So I don't really get it from the perspective of teams who didn't trade for him, because he's worth that. Like the Thunder, that seems like the most no-brainer trade to me ever, right? Because that would put them as the favorites, bar none, the favorites. I think if you put him on any of the top contenders in the league, they become the favorites. Because look, he's really fucking good. He's just really good. And the Thunder, they've had rebounding issues. They've had size concerns. Well, guess what? You bring in Hartenstein, who addresses some of that rebounding and some of that size. If you bring in Lauri to be your 3, that's a huge lineup, for one. For two, that he's a really good rebounder for a 3. He helps with your spacing. I feel like the Thunder should have made a move for him, because a lineup of Shea, Caruso, Lauri, Chet, Hartenstein, that's terrifying. But there are teams obviously in that tier that couldn't have made a move. Like the Nuggets don't have the assets to trade for him. A lot of these teams don't really have the assets needed, and that's different, because they might have been yeah, we would love to, but then you open up your war chest of assets and you go, well, shit. we have 2 seconds. You want 2 seconds and a lightly used Zeke Naji? No, obviously not. But that's sort of the Lauri stuff out of the way. Other than that, let's just chat about the Olympics a little bit, yeah? I know I said I haven't been watching it a ton, but I still have been watching a couple of games here or there. And also, there have been some overreactions. As you can see probably in the thumbnail that I put, Jamal Murray. Let's start up the top. I don't want to clickbait you or anything. Jamal Murray, right? Not good. Not good in the Olympics is what the streets are saying, is what I am saying, is what everyone and their mother is saying, because he averaged 6 points on 29% from the field, and I think it was 13% from 3. I don't have the stats pulled up in front of me. That's just from the Dome, so if it was 14%, my bad. But yeah, no, he was not good. Turned the ball over a lot, took a lot of crazy shots that he should not have been taking, especially with the way he was shooting in this tournament. And I think a lot of it comes down to just bad decisions. And they are saying that he's a Jokic merchant. They're saying, all this stuff. And I think there's a lot of fair criticism to have for Jamal Murray, right? You do want him to be a little more durable than he is at the present. You want him to step it up in the regular season. Those are fair criticisms, but people are taking it a little too far, in my humble opinion. They are saying, that he's actively a bad player. I've seen takes saying D'Angelo Russell is better than him, and it's no, he was probably a little overhyped after the 23 run. Yeah, he's not a top 20 player in the league, but he's still good. Like, he's just been banged up. I think a lot of this is just injury. And that is a fair criticism if you're like, well, he's injured a lot, you know. He's really injured a lot. Fair. Comma. Fair, but, comma. He's good. Have you considered that? We have one bad playoff run. We have 3 really good playoff runs relative to the player that he was at the level at the time of going into those playoffs. Like in his, what would that have been, his 3rd year or something in 2018-19 when they went into the playoffs for the first time, went against the Spurs in the first round, Blazers in the second round. He was good in that playoff run. He was really good. He obviously was not as good as he is now because he was a younger player, but he still played way better than he had in the regular season. And then we had the bubble, and then we had the 2023 run. We have one bad sample. And I saw someone on Twitter, I forget who it was, say, oh, maybe the playoff riser gimmick was just over-indexing on streaky shooting and being good. And it's like, so if you're going to bring a small sample, we have one playoff run where he played bad. He was bad in the playoffs, right? And we have an Olympic tournament where he played bad, which is not a ton of games. I think it was like 6 or 7, something like that. So in total, it's been about 20 games. And he wasn't even bad in every game in the playoffs. He had 35 in Game 7 against the Wolves. He didn't play well in the Wolves series, but he did have a couple of games there where he was solid. So we have about 20 games of him being bad. And now all of a sudden, that's enough to say that the rest of his career has been a small sample and that he's not a playoff riser. He's not good. He's a Jokic merchant. Anyone could do what he does. No. Obviously, Jokic makes him better. He is a lot better next to Jokic than he is without Jokic. Anyone would be, right? If Steph Curry was next to Jokic, he would look like the greatest player of all time. Obviously. He's not Steph Curry. He's not an all NBA player. You know, I'm not saying he's as good as a Jalen Brunson, as good as, you know, a lot of the guards, right? But he is good. He's good enough to be your second piece on a championship team. He's done that. He already did that. There's not really a need to freak out as much as people are. And, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just silly. I think if this was during the season, people would still be talking about it, but it wouldn't be like the mainstream story it is. But it's the off season. Not much is going on, you know. Not even the WNBA is happening because of the Olympic break. So, you know, there's not basketball on outside of the Olympics. But outside of that, let's see. Team USA, been fun, but also no shit, you know, and there's been a lot of unnecessary drama about it, like LeBron, JT, Embiid, you know, people have been having a lot of takes about those guys. Guys, it's Team USA. People are not going to play some games. They're going to play others. And it's silly to think otherwise. But, yeah. And then let's just chat about the future of this channel for a little bit, right? So for those who don't know, I started with this YouTube channel and then I transitioned into being a Nuggets journalist. So if you look at my YouTube page, right, and the uploads, there's a big 3-year break or a 2-year break, however long it was. That's because I was actively being a journalist at the time, and I decided to put all my eggs into that basket. So I stopped uploading, right? So I uploaded a few videos before, and now I've been a lot more consistent for the last 4 or 5 months. That's, or not 4 or 5. It's like been like 6 or 7. But anyways, I think I'm gonna get I'm in discussions to get another journalist job. You know, so I would take it if the offer gets finalized and all that stuff. I'm talking like I'm a free agent. I'm talking to people about getting another job. And if that does happen, I'm going to keep uploading here. That would also be content for me, but I'd be getting paid for that, so I could invest time into that without taking time away from this, because I don't really do this for money, right? I don't talk into a camera for money because I have like 1,000 subs. If it turns into money one day, great, but I'm not banking on that. I do this because I enjoy it. And that wouldn't change if I did get the writing job. But I wanted to, make sure you guys were aware, hey, I might not be able to put out as many videos as I have. I'm during the season, I'm going to try and upload twice a week, I think is the conclusion I've come to. And I'm going to try and do a bit of the higher quality editing sort of videos, not the just talk over highlights videos, which is still kind of the highly edited ones. But I like the Whooper stuff I've been doing. I like the Pokemon music. I like all that. So, and it seems that you guys do too. So if that's what you guys have enjoyed, I'll make those style of videos. If you guys just like me ranting, I will also make those type of videos regularly. That's something I can absolutely do. But I do just want to be like, hey, might be less videos in the season than you were expecting initially, than I was expecting initially, because by Nuggets writer, I mean I have a credential, right? Assuming I get this job. I had a credential when I worked last. I expect to have a credential now. So if I get the job, it'll be credentialed. I will be at Nuggets games. I can probably make some vlogs if that's something you guys would be interested in, of going to games, right? Like what it's like to be a writer. If that's something you guys would be interested in, I can probably make that work. But that is sort of that part. And then the other part is I'm going to be out of the country for a little while. I'm visiting some family in Southeast Asia in September, end of September into October and November. I'll probably be back here in December. I'm still going to be uploading, but again, that might affect the volume of videos. It might affect the quality a little bit, just editing wise. But I did get this nifty laptop so that I could edit on that trip. I got it specifically for YouTube stuff, so it's working so far. I've been making the last few videos on it. It works fine. It's pretty good. Yeah. So that's sort of that. I will be a lot more active in the second half of the season than I will be in the first, in all likelihood, but I will still be active. I will still be, on other podcasts too. If people want to have me on as a guest, by the way, just DM me on Twitter. I will probably accept. I like being on other podcasts. I like being a guest. It's always fun to talk. So if that's something that you guys, if anyone wants me on one, just let me know. But yeah, this is a bit of a shorter episode, but I just wanted to put out some content. That's sort of all I have. Also, shout out to Fake Jerseys. Got a Real Madrid one from 06, 07. It's pretty good. But yeah. Anyways, have a good day. Adios.